The time has come. Today is the day of the EMINENCE Karnivore, my signature guitar speaker. Welcome, boys and girls. Today we are announcing two things. One, the release of the official Karnivore IR pack by EMINENCE Digital, and two, the beginning of the pre-order of the first batch of hardware Karnivore guitar speakers. So no matter if you're playing a digital rig or need the real thing, we've got you covered. You can get your hands and ears on the Karnivore speaker today, and it sounds like this. In this video, I want to give you an overview of the Karnivore, explain what it is. I want to introduce you and walk you through the IR pack, show you how the IR sound and what kind of tones you can get from this speaker. And I'm going to give you all the information about the pre-order. Use the chapters below, or better just watch the entire video. So what is the Karnivore? First of all, it's a beautiful guitar speaker, don't you think? It really looks badass and it sounds pretty nice as well. It is my signature guitar speaker that I have developed with the wonderful people at EMINENCE in Kentucky. And a lot of blood, sweat and tears and passion went into this project. But I believe that we have come up with a guitar speaker that sounds wonderful, that sounds just as good as the very best guitar speakers out there. This speaker is made in the USA using the finest components, including a British-made cone that sounds wonderful. It's a pretty old school design with a ceramic magnet, kind of what you expect. 60-watt speaker available in 8 and 16 ohms. There will be another video where I will talk about the details of the speaker and go through the whole voicing process, because believe me, we went through so many different prototypes. You're gonna actually hear some of them later in this video, but we tried a lot, and I even went to Kentucky for a few days to fine-tune the speaker. Different voice coils, different spiders, different magnets, different dust caps, different dopings of the cone, like a lot of stuff that we tried, and went from pretty bad sounding prototypes to an awesome sounding speaker in the end. Again, a lot of work went into this to make it sound like it sounds. But how does the Karnivore sound? First of all, it is what people call a British voiced speaker. That means it's mid-forward sounding. It just takes gainy and high gainy tones really well. It sounds very fast and direct and immediate. We all know those guitar speakers that just sound wrong and distant and hollow and weird no matter what you EQ. It's not like this. It is in the ballpark of what we all love. It's not an exotic sounding speaker, and it's just gonna work for all kind of gainy or high gainy tones. But this is where the resemblance ends, because we were not at all trying to copy anything. I wasn't trying to emulate the sound of my favorite V30 from 2002. I already have enough good sounding V30. What's the point here? We were just trying to come up with the best sounding speaker we could that has its own voice. Now, compared to a V30, the Karnivore does not have the typical mid bump of the V30. It has, I would call it, a more extended frequency range. It has a really massive, almost dangerous low end. that I really love, that is a lot of fun to play also. And it has a higher grindy upper mid bite that sounds nice and aggressive and just a little different from the V30 as well. Sometimes I say, if the V30 is the 5150 of guitar speakers, then the Karnivore is maybe the Mesa rectifier, if you know what that means. That could help you to understand the difference. But again, it's an easy to use speaker. Let me show you the difference. This is actually my favorite Karnivore. Right now in a Driftwood 4x12, I'm playing a Brunetti amp, 57 at the edge of the dust cap. V30 from 2003. A lot more mid forward, less lows and less highs. Karnivore. Thicker low end. A bit more scooped and a bit brighter. On the recent productions here in the studio, I have only mic'd up my two best V30s and my Karnivores, and that was all I needed. And they were like different enough to come up with some cool different tones. And you can hear the Karnivore on the upcoming records from Kanonenfieber and Benighted and Melekesh and the upcoming Wisdom in Chains Evergreen Terrace split EP. Here's a little recommendation. Since every single guitar speaker sounds a little different, especially in the highs, and that comes from the cone, and that is nothing we can control, I highly recommend to get at least two speakers. And unless you play a 1x12, you need two speakers anyway. So you better get two or even more so you have a little more variation. All the Karnivores that I have tested so far sounded really good and were quite easy to mic. You just need to, if it's a little brighter, move the microphone a little more to the outside and so on. But it should be a pretty idiot-proof speaker, as you will hear in a minute. The low end of the Karnivore actually came from us using a smaller magnet than you might expect. And it gave us a little looser and a little out of control in a good way kind of low end that I fell in love with. It's really massive, fun to play. And in the studio, it's easily controllable with a low-cut filter. I really like the low end of this speaker. It's a lot of fun. And the more grindy upper mid-range mostly came from us using a smaller dust cap. We tried, I think, 4 different dust caps and ended up with this one, which is a little smaller. And also the fact that we're not using any doping on the cone. Usually you put some kind of, some kind of glue on the edge of the cone to tame some of the frequencies traveling through the cone, especially the higher frequencies. And we're not doing that here. We tried a few different materials and we decided not to do it at all, which gave it a little more raw and out of control upper mid-range as well that I kind of enjoyed. Now let's talk about the IR pack and let me give you a little walkthrough. As you might know from my other IR packs, I'm not a big fan of a huge collection of IRs with technical names. I try to give you like a small collection of awesome production or mix ready sounding IRs. This time we have, I think, a little more than 30 IRs, which is a lot for me, but I wanted to show you the whole Karnivore variety. I'm using the industry standard Mesa cabinet 57, but I'm also using other cabinets and other microphones. There is a 300 millisecond version, a longer version, and a 100 millisecond version. If you can, use the 300 millisecond version. There are 3 different sampling rates. You should always use the native sampling rate of your project or of your IR player. In this case, I'm at 44.1. I have prepared a few plugins for you. Right now I'm playing the Neural DSP Omega amp sim without the cab, but I also have, you see, the Bogren Rev C and some others. So everything pretty standard. We're going into a freeware IR player from STL, and let's have a look at this. So we've got 4 folders. The first one is called Pure Karnivore. And by the way, there's a PDF included that shows you exactly which microphones and cabinets were used. Pure Karnivore is Karnivores in Mesa 4x12 rectifier cabinets mic'd with 57s, period. Okay? Different carnivores, I think 4 different carnivores, sometimes combination. The first one is called the red Karnivore. And that's a great IR. It's called the red Karnivore because that was my first red Karnivore with the red powder coating. Red Karnivore 2, it's a different, my other red Karnivore, which actually sounds a little more carnivore-ish because it's a little more scooped. If we go to the black scoop, these were my first carnivores, still without the red powder coating in black. So the red one is more mid-forward. Black one is a little more scooped. And then we just have a few other combinations. Some sound a little brighter or more mid-rangey or fatter. So this folder is basically different variations of a Karnivore in a Mesa cab mic with a 57, or combinations of Karnivores. There's no EQ used here. I just used high and low cut filters. They are important when you record the real Karnivore because it has a lot of low end and a lot of high end. So using high and low cut filters really help. So yeah. Awesome. Let's move on to the next folder. And this one is called Microphone Madness. Now we are still in the Mesa cab, but we're using different microphones. The first two are AEA R92 ribbons. Darker and fatter. I think this one, California Ribbon Rage, is the R92 blended with a 57. And then we have a few other microphones that all have their own tone and texture, and especially mid-range. Austrian Anger is this little swivel mic from Austrian Audio. This. The raw ribbon is a Bayer M160. Karnivore condenser is a Neumann. It's a pretty linear sounding IR, a Neumann TLM 193. Cold and Merciless, what was that? Ah, that's a SE Electronics V7X. And Latvian Lava, that is the JZ V11 that I just showed in another video. Great sounding IR. Thick mid-range. And of course you can blend them. Let's blend it with the red Karnivore. Beautiful. The third folder is called Cabinet Chaos. And here I'm using, I think, 4 different cabinets. Mainly, I'm using the 4x12 from Driftwood, which just sounds amazing. The first 4 are all Driftwood. And here you can see what happens if you move a 57. If you go from the middle more to the outside. And in between. Those Driftwood IR sound amazing. Then we have my Coffee Audio Lungo 4x12, which sounds really raw. We've got one IR called Kentucky Karnivore, and this is a KSR 4x12. And this IR was actually created in Eminence, Kentucky. And here I left the low end untouched, so you get the full oomph. And finally, we've got the last two IRs here, and they're actually brand new. I just visited Cathedral Cabinets in Belgium 2 weeks ago, and these are two different IRs of their Bishop 4x12, which sound very aggressive. And these are also the only two IRs that I created with a 16 ohm Karnivore. All the others are 8 ohm Karnivores. And then there's another very special folder. This is folder number 4 called Karnivore Prototypes, just to show you how we started and how shitty things sounded in the beginning. So this was one of the very first prototypes. This is the final Karnivore. This was a long way. This was the next one. Still pretty bad. And I think when we arrived at number 39, this one, this was when I thought, oh, now I actually enjoy the low end. This is also without any filtering. And I think this was when we found out we had to use that smaller magnet. The low end was great here. And next we started working especially on the mid-range. And I think when we were at this one here, 87, I was sure, okay, this is gonna work. This is gonna sound great because I really love the low end and the mid range. Still have that speaker. It actually sounds really good. It still sounds a little boxy and a little dark. And I think after the 87, that's when I went to Kentucky and we did the rest of the fine tuning there. So it was a long way to the top with a lot of prototypes. Again, there will be another video where I show you more prototypes and take you with me through the entire Karnivore journey. There is a link below to the Eminence digital shop where you can get the IR pack. And as usual, before you complain, as usual with my IR packs, there are no sales, there's no intro price, there are no free IRs. You can just get the pack or not. That's it. Sorry. Let's talk about the Karnivore pre-order. Let's talk about how you can get your hardware speaker. We are selling the first batch of Karnivores now, and that is 100 speakers, 78 ohm speakers and 30 16 ohm speakers. The price is 159 euros. You can order 1, 2, 3 or a maximum of 4 Karnivores, not more. If you are from the European Union, from Canada or from the US, the 159 euros include the shipping. That is all that you will pay. If you come from any other country, please get in touch before ordering. If you are from Australia or South America or Mexico or anywhere else, please get in touch first. People from US, Canada and European Union can simply order, and this is the price that you pay. The pre-order is handled by the Cleartone Pedals shop by my friend Carsten, and we will also ship the speakers within the European Union, and Eminence speakers will ship the speakers within the US and Canada. Now the question is, how long will it take until you get your speaker? Right now, I'm not sure. Probably around 4 weeks. No guarantee. It will be quite a lot faster for the people from the US and Canada. The speakers will probably be ready mid-July, and then maybe end of July would be the soonest that you get your speakers. The Europeans have to wait maybe 2 weeks more, so it will probably be mid-August because the speakers need to be shipped from Kentucky to Europe, go through customs. You never know how long that takes, and then we can ship them to you. But we will do this as fast as possible. So 4 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that. We will keep you informed. Now, what if the 100 speakers are already gone? Don't worry, there will be a second batch very soon, and we can put you on a waiting list. On the landing page, you will find an email address. Send us an email, let us know your address, where you come from, and how many speakers you want to get. And 8 ohm or 16 ohm, we will put you on the list and you will be one of the first people to receive a Karnivore speaker from the second batch. And yes, at some point the Karnivore will be available at Sweetwater and Thomann and like in all shops. But right now, for the first batches, we're going to sell them direct. All right, this is all for today. I hope you enjoyed our little trip into Karnivore land. There will be a lot more videos. There will be a making of video where I walk you through the process, how we voice the speaker. I will do comparison videos with other speakers. There will be an interview with Jerry, the chief engineer at Eminence, talking about the speaker. There will be a lot more content, so don't you worry. But now you can click the links below, order your physical speaker, or just get your hands on the IR pack today and have some chuga chuga Karnivore fun. Leave a comment. Ask your questions. I'm sure you will have a lot of questions. I'll try to answer them all. And as usual, I see you in Karnivore land and in hell, motherfuckers. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.